Good evening. This evening I have Claudia Campher and Debbie Matake. We are going to be with you for the next hour discussing how to manage and pivot your business strategy in this time of COVID-19. I'm Ilona Hlatrayo. I'm the founder and the CEO of BizPreneur, and we're in the business of growing our legacies through our businesses and through our careers. So I'm so excited to be surrounded by awesome women that have done amazing things in their industries, and they're going to be sharing with us this evening for the entrepreneurs, specifically for the TUT Center of Entrepreneurship Development. But we also have other entrepreneurs that are going to join us, and we're just excited to learn from you guys. So we had a few questions that were sent to us. If during the conversation I look to the side or anything, I'm just going to be checking out the questions. So before we get started, I'll ask Debbie, please introduce us and tell us a bit more about Eden All Natural. Welcome.
Hi, ladies, and hi, everyone who is joining us. Thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Debbie Matake, or Debbie Matake. I'm the founder and CEO of House of Natural Butters, and we trade as Eden All Natural. That's our brand name. And we started this journey, I think, in 2011, 2012. That was after we made an intentional decision to eat right, to live well, and to be healthy. But then it was also later on an opportunity that came out to be a good business. So, but the challenge that we had then was we just could not find any peanut butter of our choice, because peanut butter was our home staple. We eat it in the morning, afternoon, and evening. That's what we survive on. Mm-hmm. And then I couldn't find what I wanted in the stores. What I could find in the stores was something that was too processed, so many ingredients that I didn't know, and all I wanted was just my peanuts. So then I realized that there is an opportunity, but how do I do it? So I started to make peanut butter from home using a food processor. And by the way, I started to make peanut butter from the age of 5 when I was young with my mom. Yes. So I knew exactly what I wanted in my peanut butter. So that trend continued in me. And then I was making for my family, and friends would come, would make sure that they enjoy our peanut butter. And then the nudge from people, they were always asking, but why are you not growing big with this? Why can't you sell it to us? So I started to sell to individuals, family friends, church friends, school friends, workmates, and all that. And they enjoyed us. They would always come back with their buckets, and we'll fill it up for them, and they'll go. Wow. Then one day my husband took some more peanut butter to work, and these friends, they were blown away. They loved it. Fortunately enough, there was a guy who used to go to gym, and this guy said, you know what, just give me 5 or 2 buckets or whatever you have. I need to show my other friends at the gym whether they would love it. And he went to the gym. Those guys, they loved it. The next day he called, please make 10 buckets, 20, 50, 60. And the business grew from them then. But then I was very scared because I was comfortable in what I was doing. I'm an accountant by profession. I had a very good job in the corporate world, and starting my own thing was just, I was not ready. But then after a while, we grew and we started to supply markets. We thought of markets around Cape Town, and we started to sell our product. And again, the feedback was so good. Then later on at one market, that's when I had employees now, one who was making peanut butter at home and the other one was selling around the market. So she was at a waterfront market. And then 2 guys visited him, and as she was busy trying to explain her product and all that, she told me that I was very much offended because they were talking so long and I wanted to make a sale. And these guys, they were like asking a lot of questions and all that. Then later on, she said literally after about 40, 45 minutes, after they had scrutinized and asked every question, they gave her a business card, and she realized that she was talking to Pick and Pay buyers. Wow. That's when she called me. And she was like very excited. But I was like, Kani, why are you excited? How are we able to supply 700 stores from home? It's a dream that I don't want even to dream about at the moment. Let's just pack it and leave it. So she gave me the business card, but I never bothered to call them. I remember it was on a Wednesday. Friday, I didn't call them. Monday, I received a call from Pick and Pay. And they were like, we saw your girl and we loved your product and we really want this product in our stores. Come, let us help you how we can get this in our stores. You know what? I then realized that these guys are serious. Okay, so let me just go see them. So I went to see them on a Wednesday, and again, it was the worst meeting because they started to tell me about regulation, legislation, and food safety and all that. And it was something that I had never done before. I'm coming from an accounting perspective, and retail and production and food technologist was nowhere near my syllabus. So it was something that was so weird. But to cut the long story short, I met them in 2012, 2013, and I only started to supply big retailers in 2016 March. But it was 4 years of really preparing me, of really me changing my mindset of accounting to a retail world. And then we grew with Pick and Pay. I started with, I think, 5 stores. Then we grew them from 5 stores to 10 stores, from 10 stores to 30. From 30, that's when they realized, no, let's put your product in the DC and it will go nationwide. So now we are supplying about 250 Pick and Pay stores, about 30 or 40 Spar stores in Cape Town, and about 80 maybe in Eastern Cape. So we are seeing that the brand is growing and we are so excited. We are now also packing for Woolies, their peanut butter ice cream. They use our peanut butter. So it's growing in as much as we are in challenging times, but we don't lose our hope. We only keep on focusing on what we do best, and that is to produce something that people love. So yes, that's our journey so far.
Awesome. That's really amazing. And I like what you always say is your ingredients are just peanuts.
Yes.
And that's what it should be.
Exactly.
We move on to Claudia. By the way, Debbie and Claudia are both based in Cape Town, so we are crossing provinces this evening. Claudia will tell us a bit more about Poppy Seed.
Definitely. Hi, Ilona. Hi, Debbie. Good evening, everyone. So happy to be joining you all this evening. So yes, I'm Claudia Campher. I'm the owner and designer for Poppy Seed. I've had an interesting entrepreneurial journey over the last, good grief, 15 to 18 years. I think my journey started probably around the age of 23 already. I've never worked corporate. I consider myself a creative entrepreneur. So I've always found myself within that sphere. So I went to design school, but I went to business school prior to that. So I think the two kind of just mixed, and I feel like it was all just destined to work out the way things worked out. So straight after design school, I started a clothing label with my now husband called Sneaky Tiger. We did women's apparel. Fresh out of college, you know, that fresh energy, you just want to take on the world, and we literally thought we could do that.
Yeah.
So you're working day and night, you know, you're doing patterns and sewing, and we were fortunate we got funding from the Raymond Ackerman Academy at the time. So they felt we were onto something, and we grew quite rapidly. We were in 4 different boutiques for about 2 to 3 years. Yeah, it mushroomed quite fast. But again, because we didn't have the know-how of how the world works and finances and all of that, we ran into, you know, some financial difficulties. And that was our first business failure. So we were expanding faster than we were getting an income. So that was interesting. So we were in our 20s, we were, you know, flying high 1 minute, and then a few years later, literally financial crash, pretty much losing almost everything. And then we had to start from the bottom again. So that taught me and my husband a lot of valuable lessons about business, about finance, about people, about networking, and all of that. So I eventually he went into IT, and then I stayed on the creative path. I went into network marketing, which lasted a year. It's not for everyone. Valuable lessons again, met some amazing people who taught me so much, lessons that I still value to this day. And then I was at home for a few years with my kids when they were little. And, because you're creative, the bug bites, it never really leaves you. So I, again, took my college know-how. I started designing, and I developed a business, a mobile designing business. So I would design and create things, but instead of the clients coming to me, I would go to them. And that worked for quite a few years. Yeah, it wasn't done at the time yet. Now you have mobile everything.
Yes.
Yes, now you have mobile everything. Back then, it actually wasn't around. So it was something new and interesting. I needed to create a business that would suit my lifestyle at the time. And having little kids, I needed to make sure that I could still work, I could still be creative, and I could still get an income doing what I loved and doing what I knew I was good at. So then the mobile service started back then. It's still going. Well, COVID stopped it, sort of.
Yeah.
So that was going for a number of years. I was doing evening wear, couture wear, bespoke, wedding dresses as well. And that was all one-on-one clients. So I didn't produce in bulk. It was for specific clients and for specific people and events, yes. And while that was going, my daughter, gosh, she's my number one fan. She just kept nagging it. She's like, you gotta keep making things so people can see what you're doing. And the mobile business service is a very specific business model. It's for one-on-one clients. So you don't mass produce anything, because everything's got to be unique and specific for the person and the event. And then I came up with the idea of making bags. I love bags. And I was making bags when I was in high school already, in college and all of that. So I started making clutch bags and laptop purses using upholstery. So high-end luxury upholstery. So I was thinking, why not do something that's both beautiful, luxurious, but practical at the same time? Because what I found over the years, there were a lot of corporate women and professionals who wanted to look the part, but then they had this bulky thing that they had to carry around for their phones and equipment and laptops and all of that. And I kind of just jumped into that. I started a few prototypes, sent it around to a few friends, and it literally just snowballed from person to person. And my business grew literally by word of mouth. I networked as well, yeah. All my clients for even the mobile service was all word of mouth. I haven't advertised, any of that. I need to, but for that specific service, I haven't advertised. So never underestimate the service that you provide for people, the fit that you have on people, and also just your basic interactions with people. It definitely leaves a mark, and they will call you back just based on who you are as a person. And I found for me, that worked. That definitely worked. So that was Poppy said. We have our bags, and we've added on to it since COVID came around. We've had to adapt some things, but I think we're going to jump into that later on in the conversation.
Awesome.
Wow.
It's really nice to hear already you sharing with us lessons on the importance of relationships. And Debbie, you've already shared with us that don't let fear stop you. I think it's a common thing when businesses start that we're too scared, like, oh no, that's too big. I don't know if I'll make it, and so on. And sometimes it keeps us from trying, So one of the major questions that everybody asks or is asking now, how do I stay afloat during COVID? And now we want to hear from you guys. How, especially, let's start with Debbie. How have you navigated the crisis, the lockdown, and all the restrictions that came with it? How did you navigate it as a business?
Through that. All right. So with our journey is like I have told you in the beginning that it was self-financed. So I just want to introduce how the impact of COVID to our business and how then we try to circumvent it. And number one is we self-financed our business. So we didn't look for money from banks. Neither did we look for money from government. but maybe from individuals and friends and family. And the reason why I'm saying that is because your friends and family are your support system. You really need them. Those are the people who will tell you the truth, and the hard truth. Believe you me, if your peanut butter is not nice, it's not nice. Whether they'll tell you whilst they're joking or whatever, but they will tell you the truth. And it is in telling you the truth that you learn each and every day. Because so many times as entrepreneurs, we kind of like attach ourselves to the product. And whenever our products are criticized, we feel like we are criticized. And that's not it. The issue is the product. So I have learned to separate issues when my family and friends come to tell me the truth. So yeah, that's the point for the friends. So now getting into this, it means now there is COVID, March 2020, unexpected. And as you know, it just happened when everyone was relaxing and we were still singing 2020, 2020, and boom, this thing comes. And I'm like, oh my God, where is the plane? Is it going to be 20 empty now?
Oh
And
dear.
that's when I realized that it's going to be 20 empty if I'm not careful. So how did we do it? First thing that we did, we had to call our customers. So that those are the big retailers that I spoke to earlier on, that where are we standing? Are we essential to you, or you're going to stop orders from here? And that's important when you're an entrepreneur, whether the client is small or is big, you constantly need to communicate with them and hear their side of the story. So fortunately, peanut butter fell into the category of essentials. But remember, my peanut butter is not just peanut butter. So it's different from whatever commercial peanut butters on the market. I'm on the high end of things, and that is all natural. And whenever we categorize everything, all natural, organic, 100% wara wara wa, we are setting a standard for our product. Then the good news, my buyer was like, no, we will cater for our high-end customers as well. So again, we will need your product. And that was number one. But I knew that in as much as my product would be in store, who is going to have the guts to buy it? Everyone was scared in the beginning. And I knew that my sales are going to drop. So how did we navigate that? We had to quickly work on door-to-door deliveries. And we used the social media. We didn't have money to advertise on TV, on what, but social media, it's great. If you want your product to be known and you hate social media, these days, I think you won't make it eventually. So make sure that you are visible online. And I loved also the idea that Claudia spoke when she was telling us her story about word of mouth. It really worked for us. So for every client that we will deliver to, she will tell her mom about the product. Then we will deliver to the mom. The mom will tell her friend at church about the product. And during this time, ever since we started from 2016, I think, to supply the retail world, it was our busiest year. Not in retail stores, but actually in door-to-door, house-to-house deliveries. So we had to get, and we had to offer our customers a wide range. So in stores, you can only get a 410 jar. That is those smallest jars. But we had to cater for families, and we had to give them 1 kilos, 850, 500 grams and above. And people, they appreciated because they were telling us, we can't find it in stores. Anyway, you can as well bring it to us. So on that aspect, we grew so well. So I also had opportunities and times to know who my customers are. Because sometimes when you're in the retail world, you don't know who is buying your product. But now I had a one-on-one communication with my clients. Is there anything that you want us to improve? Is there anything that you want us to do? And they will give us feedback. So it is important to know who your customers are, in as much as you are operating in a bigger space that you do not have reach or access to. And sometimes as business owners, we neglect that and feel like, no, I now need a marketing person to understand. No, what if that marketing person comes and understands your customer and the next day he goes, then what? So it's important in the initial stages of your business to really know and really understand why your product, why is your customer buying that product? And that answer will give you the zeal to wake up the next morning and just rock the world. So I think those are the things that we did. We increased our online presence, even with our online partners. We have got Faithful to Nature, Wellness Warehouse, Cool Bananas, and many others. And we had to go and have meetings with them and understand, okay, now in this situation, how are you going to do? How is your demand and how can we help? And we had to publish them on our website. So it's important to have those little small things: Facebook page, Instagram page, LinkedIn page. Go and see what the professionals are doing and saying. And if you have got a chance, there is nothing wrong or to reason to be shy about your product. You ought to speak about yourself, about your product and the things that you're doing, so that people at least can appreciate, and the two ways between you and your customer gives both of you a common cause. So I think that's where we tried to strike the balance and had a better relationship with our customers and with our suppliers as well.
Awesome. And a lot of people would have assumed that, oh, your factory will have to close until COVID is over, but people are still eating.
Yes, people are still eating.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Claudia, how did you navigate? I know you spoke of changes and shifts and additions to your business since the COVID-19. So how did your business navigate this?
Well, for us, it was interesting because, you know, a matric ball dress is not a necessity.
Yeah.
And, you know, neither is, you know, this high-end bag or anything like that. So because we weren't on any of those lists, I personally had to make a decision. Do we ride this out and, you know, keep our fingers crossed and see what happens? Or are we going to take what we already have, which is machinery, you know, pattern know-how, fabric availability, and are we going to tap into a current need and provide for that? And that is literally what I did, because for example, with the mobile service that I was providing, I get booked a year in advance for matric ball dresses and wedding dresses and all of that. So then COVID hits and we all, okay, what now? You know, or everything's been canceled. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And we don't know how long this is going to, you know, ride out for.
Yeah.
And so then I just made a decision. I said, we're either going to ride it out and make these difficult decisions, or we're going to die. We're not going to survive. And that's exactly what I did. I just jumped in. I found out what the patterns were. I went online. I found out from a few designer friends that they had received a special permit. And I literally tried my luck.
Yeah.
I went onto Biz Portal and filled out the application to see if I would be successful or not. 2 days later, it came through. And that permit allowed me to be on the roads. It allowed me to get to suppliers, and it allowed me to interact with clients as well and sell my product. So from the bags, we went into masks. So what I did is just make sure that the masks that we were selling had a similar aesthetic or look and feel to what my bags would have. So if the bags had a certain, luxury feel to it, then I kind of made sure that the mask sort of fit in with that same profile. So then that way the brand continued with its look and its feel, and we didn't change everything altogether. So that's sort of what happened to us, and we're slowly branching out into PPE gear as well, but not the stuff that doctors would wear. It's actually, I guess, fashionable PPE gear.
Yeah, we need fashion.
Yeah, so this is actually for, I've had some teachers ask me about it. So that is sort of where we're going with what we're doing. So instead of staying stuck on what we had, we're slowly transforming that into what we have right now, so that it can be current, it can be relevant, and it's assisting with the current need. So that is exactly what Poppyseed is doing right now. It wasn't easy. Like any entrepreneur, you have those fears. Is it going to work? Why are you doing this? Should you even do it? Why are they going to give you a permit? But at the end of the day, I think what every entrepreneur has is it's that drive to succeed. It's a drive to try something just to see if it's going to work or not. Because if you don't do it, you have sleepless nights. You constantly wonder, would it have worked if I tried it in the first place?
Yeah.
So that is what I did. I just jumped in there, and again, word of mouth. I again sent. Funny enough, we used WhatsApp. And WhatsApp works really, really well. To those entrepreneurs who keep thinking that you must have Facebook ads and Google ads and all these things.
And billboards.
And billboards, expensive billboards. The power of using a free app like WhatsApp, using the stories works really, really well. So word of mouth worked there again. And in doing word of mouth as well, we also got instant feedback on the mask that we were selling. So if a client said this didn't fit right or this didn't feel right, immediately we were able to change the pattern, and with the next lot send it out. So there were constant improvements as we went on. So now we're sending out a product that we know looks good and it feels good. And that worked for us. So we definitely appreciated the fact that it was instant notifications on what was happening, and we could change it as we went along. So there was no long delay on changing things and improving things. So that personally worked for us. Yeah.
Awesome. And I love that you're one of the success stories who can say, I tried my luck, applied for the government permits, shifted my model, didn't know anybody there, didn't have to bribe anybody, but I went through a normal process and I got the results. I just want to take a pause and just read to you some of the comments that we've had. We've got Neil who says he's loving the discussion. Somebody says, thank you for talking about separating yourself and your product, because it's just so easy to take criticism personally. And sometimes it can cripple us.
True.
So, and with that, we're going to move on to managing the relationships with clientele and customers. So we know that shifts and changes in budgets and all that sometimes become less of a priority to your usual clients. How have you managed the relationships? I know you've both mentioned already that relationships are key. What are the hints and tips you can give our audience on how to manage and almost get the best out of your client relationships? Dave?
Okay, so on that one, I think I highlighted quite a lot on that, but I think there are two things that I always say about relationship with your customers. Because remember, the product that you're making or the service or whatever, you are not doing it for yourself. You are not the one who is going to buy it. You are selling it to somebody. So that somebody, whether you like it or not, is a king at that particular time. The one who pays is the king, regardless of how spectacular, how good, and whatever your product is or your service is. But the recipient of that product or service, you need to listen to him and you need to have a good relationship with him, because without a relationship with him, then there is no purchase at the end of the day. Not going to purchase at all. So always maintain good relationships with your customers. Then you'll find that there are some customers that are not yet your customers, but they are using your competitors' product. You also need to listen to them and tap into their mindset. Why are you buying this product instead of my product? So look for those customers and create a relationship with them. They might not buy your product within 2 years or 3 years, but they must know about it. And that's the strategy that we have with our product. That you might go into the shops, bought whatever peanut butter that is there, it's okay. But in your mind, you must always remember that there is Eden. And one day, eventually, you will buy it. So I think it's very important to create those relationships with both your customers in the bag and those that are still outside the bag. You need to know why they are not buying your product. Then the other important aspect that is important that you have to maintain a good relationship with, and so many times we neglect it, it's your supplier base. Because without your supplier, you might not be able to make the product that you want to make and feed the nation. So I'm talking in terms of food. So Please bear with me, because when I'm talking,
Lot
my
of
mind
food.
is now, it's all about food. Yes, it's all about
Yeah.
food, and it's all about products. So you need to take care of your customers, have a relationship with them, and create that relationship that they will miss you. Because remember, now you are a king also to this supplier. But
Yeah.
sometimes you can make a blunder where you overrate your kingship. Hope you'll understand.
Yeah.
Overrate yourself and feel like you don't need them. Suppliers are very pivotal and are very important. I'll tell you a story that happened just recently. So most of my suppliers, because of COVID, I get my raw materials, that is my nuts, from Malawi, Mozambique, Zambia. Sometimes it goes as far as Vietnam, Argentina, and India. And the borders are closed. So what do? I need to find local suppliers. And that's when I realized that, you know what, you need everybody. You're not an island when you're in business. The
Yeah.
borders are closed. If they are open for food, but the traffic flow, it's not normal. It's not business as usual. So there are some drags here and there. And I had to look for local suppliers. And guess what? I couldn't find any.
Oh.
Then we had a friend
Oh.
who knew of an agent who was able to help us. And then we finally got our product or raw materials from that guy. So I think it's important to have also a network of local suppliers, because look at now, we are all locked up in our own individual countries, and I do not have any local suppliers. How am I going to get peanuts from Malawi? It's impossible for me to. So I then realized that it's important to establish local, strong relationships with those people, and don't let your business depend much on getting products or raw materials outside the country. And that comes by local. Let's support each other. Our local farmers in South Africa, we've got a lot of them. Are we supporting them enough in order for us to supply our people? Because if I am to support a local supplier, then feed the nation with something that is local, I'm empowering people indirectly. So that's also those are the relationships that are quite important. And it gave us a wake-up call that, you know what, exporting might not be the thing maybe in the next 5-10 years, and everyone now in retail world is talking about source local, look not local. What are we going to do? How are we going to empower our farmers and all that? So I think those relationships are very important, because your business is not an island. You need other people.
Yes, yes,
100%.
definitely. I'm one of those people who's missing my peanut butter.
I can imagine.
I tend to send her a picture like, we need to do something. All the shops I keep going don't have it.
Yes.
Claudia, how have
Definitely.
relations
Yes.
been? So of course we knew that the matric dances have all been cancelled, but you also knew that possibly they need masks, because everybody needs a mask. How did you manage those relationships?
Well, to be honest, I agree 100% with what Debbie's saying. You just got to keep it going. You got to keep following up with them. You got to keep sending messages. You got to keep checking in, because, like she mentioned, your business is not an island. So you need to treat them like they're your king. So you need to check in
You
and
have
find
to.
out. You have to 100%, because your business won't survive if it doesn't have customers. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
So if you're not doing your part to check in, to follow up, send a hello, how you doing? Actually invest in that customer. They're not just money. A lot of times businesses look at people like they're just, money signs or whatever. They are people. So you need to invest in them, because they're going to invest in you by purchasing your product or supporting your service business. So that's what I found. You need to constantly, keep checking up on them. It can be via social media. It can be, WhatsApps. Any way that that's going to increase that connection between you and that customer. That's what you got to do. And it doesn't even have to be pictures of, your product or your service. Sending a motivational message goes a long way, and it keeps you and your service and your business in the front of their mind when they need that specific something, because you took the time to share and invest in them in that manner. So definitely. And I also wanted to also agree with Debbie with the whole networking thing. Like I found for myself, you have to network. It's uncomfortable sometimes for a lot of people to walk up to strangers and just start chatting. But I would highly recommend to all entrepreneurs, find networking groups that you can get involved in.
True.
Because they're the ones who's going to point you in the direction for suppliers. Like Debbie said, you couldn't find local suppliers. But if you are networking, you're bound to find someone that's going to say, hey, there's a fabric shop that's still open. You know, the others have closed down, but that one's open. Or I know a supplier, he's private, but here's his number. You know, you can contact him for this, that, and the other. So I honestly feel that networking was one of the things that grew me as an entrepreneur, but also my business on how to run it and what I should do to improve the relationship with clients, but also with suppliers as well. So get into networking circles, find ones that work for you, go on Facebook, Google them if you need to, but it's so important to network and just get yourself out there. I think by getting yourself out there as well, that nagging voice in your head that says you can't do it starts disappearing. Because you've now find a group of people who are agreeing with you that what you're doing is good and that it could go further than what you think it can.
Definitely. I like what you both have said about your industries. So Debbie, we actually have, I think, two or three beneficiaries in the TUT program that are going into farming. They have land in Limpopo, if I'm not mistaken, Limpopo and Mpumalanga. And hopefully in the coming years, these are the people that start to supply.
No, that's very true. That's very true.
And Claudia, we know a couple of years ago, the textile industry was almost dead in Cape Town specifically. And now it's great to hear that in a time of crisis, almost everybody's looking to the textile industry to say, come and help us. So it's very important. Olivia has said agility was of paramount importance to both of you. So you guys just responded real fast. You know that there's other suppliers on the market, but you got up and you just did what you got to do for your business. So and then now it's speaking to yourself as the foundation on which all of your business is sitting on. So how do you look after your personal well-being and maybe your employees as well as you navigate through this? So there's the personal discomforts and restructure that you may have had to do, and then there's also the business one. So how do you look after yourself? Who wants to go first? Claudia.
I'll go first. So for me, personally, look, when the whole COVID thing hit, it was rough because the first thing that you think of as an entrepreneur, you don't have the support system of a corporate environment to support you. So you need to think of how are you going to survive, in all of that. So it hits you really, really hard because, as Debbie mentioned earlier, we often, our identity is connected to our business. So now, because the business seems like it's tanking, you're going to tank.
And you feel like you're low.
100%. So definitely for me, I was low for quite a number of days. So it takes you a while to what helped me was looking back how far I'd come, how far the business came, the little lessons that you learned. Funny enough, having that support network, people checking in on you, whether it was suppliers, customers, family, friends, all of those help. So I would say again, it's important that you have a support network, and it doesn't have to be family. It can be people that you worked with. It can be people that you met in your various network groups, people who understand your struggle and the journey you've been on, that you can bounce those insecurities or anxieties off on. Just to get fresh ears and eyes to say, listen, this thing is a bit rough, but you know what? You came through fire. It's okay. You're going to keep going. So that's definitely helped for me, was having that support system, friends, family, as well as friends that I've made within my various networks. Exercising, I thought this was something silly, going for a walk. You always hear that from different people. Just go for a walk, you'll be fine.
Yes, Claudia.
Really, yeah. It really does help. Get out of the house, out of the flat, out of the apartment, wherever you are. Just get out and get that walk going. Because when you start a new habit like exercising, that kickstarts other positive thoughts on how you can handle your work environment and the negative aspects that's pertaining to your business as well. Yeah, and reading up on things as well, educating yourself. I found during this time I've read up even more on my industry than I've done in years.
Oh, wow. So you're learning new things as well.
I'm learning all over again, and things have changed so much. So that was fun. But what I found interesting, I've started noticing what was happening in other industries. How were other industries handling the COVID situation? And I found by tapping into the other industries that had nothing to do with fashion or design, I was able to learn more lessons, and I could actually incorporate that into what I'm doing right
Into
now.
the business. Wow.
Oh, that's really
100%.
awesome. Yeah.
So don't box yourself into, I'm a designer, I can only do fashion stuff. Look at what the writers are doing. Look at what Debbie is doing. Look at, what the business coaches are doing. Look at what the engineering guys are doing. And then look for opportunities there and see how those things and the lessons they can assist you with your journey as well. So for myself, that has actually helped my own personal well-being and kept me going during this time. So
awesome. So Claudia's brought don't box yourself in, don't lock yourself in the house. Go out there, get your vitamin D, get your walk,
get it in there.
and also learn. Open yourself up to learning. Okay, Debbie, any insights? How have you been looking after yourself?
Yes, I think that is important, looking after ourselves, because, and I when this thing started, I was like, you know what, this might be a sabbatical for most of us. Time to take rest. Time to take rest, re-strategize, reinvent, and redo your things, re-energize yourself and refocus. Because remember, the world was put on a reset button.
Yes.
And everything after this it's something that is quite strange and something that is new. The way that we buy things, the way that we do things, it's totally new, completely new. So first thing that I had to do, I had to adapt to the new normal, or to the new normal that I'm finding myself to. And it's very important to realize that there are some things that you cannot change. I can't stop COVID.
Yes.
And it's okay. I can't stop it, and it's okay. And there's nothing that I cannot do. But what I can change, I have to change it myself. So that was very important. 100%. I had to adapt to this and redo things. Then the other important thing was it was also time for me to reflect and have a better relationship with my family. Because I'm telling you, my day can be so hectic, and I forget about my husband, my kids, and concentrate on products. But this was a time where everyone was home, and I needed to take care of them. And I think I learned more things about my boys than I have learned for the past 11 years that we were staying together. And even I was telling my husband that, you know what, I've realized some habits that you have that I think I don't like. So it was time to really learn each other, and I have learned a lot, and even to love my boys and to appreciate them. So have time, a break, and you know what? After having a good laugh with family, you come out of that with a brighter side of life, thinking about things that you can do in the business. So a break is really needed. Rest is really needed for us to refocus and rethink. Then the other thing I think that that helped me, it was I learned a lot of things, like Claudia said. I learned new skills that I wished I had, and I had time to learn them and to do them perfectly. Like now I know how to use, to graphic designing is something that I used to struggle with.
Yes.
I could pay, I would pay a lot of money to people to do simple things for me. And from networking, I learned, no, I can do it on Canva. I can do this on
Yes,
that and that, you know. So, so I'm playing around it and it's interesting. And those are the things that I just, because in business, you think of a concept, but you can't pay 500 rand to somebody just to add on your pic, your logo or something. And I had to find out, hi man, how do I do this? And I can do it myself now. So
We are
yeah, so it
so
was time
sorry
of,
for your suppliers, for your
I'm so sorry.
graphic
I told
designer.
my guy,
Yeah.
he saw one of my posts last week and he was like, you know what? I hate COVID for this. I hate COVID for this. And I was like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, guy. I can now put a logo on my pic. You go. So yeah, it was time also for us to learn. Then I also, something that I got from a friend, she called me and she told me that, you know what? I have got a very brilliant idea and I'm going to start it soon after COVID. And I'm like, but what if it doesn't end? Does it mean that your dream is going to end because COVID is not ending?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know maybe for some who are watching, they are like stuck on that, you know, whereby, but this is actually the time that you need to start. If you don't have a business plan, just start to do it on your own. If you feel like, no, look for customers online, go on Google. That's what we did. I had a lot of customers during COVID that I had to look for, specifically in this time. So I think let's not take it as something that was bad, but let's take it as an opportunity, because I believe more opportunities are going to be opened after this, or in this era. We are going to see a lot of opportunities, but it takes one to see the brighter side of it.
Awesome. So, Debbie, how many employees do you have at the moment?
Currently, I'm on 12 permanent, and I think about six that are freelancers, and they come on a need basis, but we have been having them ever since lockdown, so we can safely say around 18 years.
Awesome. And how have you been looking after their wellness? Because that's almost an added thing as an employer.
Exactly, because and you're so right, because in the beginning it was a shock to everyone. They wanted to know their position in the company. Are we going to survive after this, or in this? Are we going to survive? And now is even if I want them 14 or 12 to be in the factory, but because of social distancing, I need to cut on their times in order for us to make sure that we can maintain the 2 meter apart
regulation.
Exactly. So then we had to sit down and we had to be honest with each other that, guys, you know what? It means if you don't want us to cut on salaries and blah, 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 they might need to work at night.
Okay.
So again, we had to reinvent. So I had say 6, they are working tonight, and then we will alternate. So next week, this shift that was working in the morning will be working at night, so that at least everyone has got a portion of something at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And you know what? It came to them as hope. And every time in the morning, I think we will have time to discuss about, okay, in our factory, we are dealing with food. How are we going to make sure that we are covering ourselves, and also we are protecting our customers? How are we going to do it? So we will communicate, and I would always tell them we had frequent breaks at work. So instead of only an hour, after every 2 hours, we will have to take a 10-minute, 15-minute break to go wash, sanitize, freshen up, and then come back again. Yeah, so those are the small things that we tried to implement in our business to make sure that everyone is revived. And also, you know, it was not about them, in as much as they were at work, but some of them, their husbands were not working. And it could cause like a torture of the mind, knowing that the dad is not working or the mom is not working at home. And where we could help, we could tell them, you know what, we need more people during this day when we are loading for Pick and Pay. Please bring your wife, please bring your husband, so that we can work together as a team. And we had some families also that didn't have anything, that we were like, no, you know what, we are in this together. How are we going to help you? How can we help you? If we give you 2-3 boxes of peanut butter, are you able to sell them in your township or where you're coming from in order for you to generate income? And some of them, they really appreciated it.
Oh,
So
that's awesome. Yeah.
we tried by all means, like to reignite the spirit of Ubuntu within us, so that everyone feels as part of the big family.
Oh, that's really, really awesome. So we've got a question that's come through. Tobegani says, how can entrepreneurs prepare to move forward or post-COVID with very little focus on government assistance? So you guys both spoke about how you self-funded when you started. What are those things that they can do? Because I think the modern thing to do is, you want to start a business, go and ask for a government loan, go and ask for government assistance.
Yeah.
What are the things that they can do besides looking for government assistance?
Should I jump in?
Yeah, you can.
I would look, if you already have a product or a service that you are able to provide, just start. Getting that one client in, getting that money, saving part of it. Obviously, you'd have to use some of it for expenses, living expenses and all of that. But saving a portion of that and then just moving on to the next customer. I think that's a great way to start. That way, you're not having to ask anyone for money. But that's specifically if you already have a product or service that you can provide. Just start with one. Literally just start with one. The other option would be having to work. If you are able to work and then start that business or service on the side. Then slowly start building up that clientele on the side while you're working full-time, because then your full-time job would sort of cover your main living expenses, while the side business, you can save it immediately and start expanding on that, till eventually you will get to a point where the side business or service that you're providing will be able to sustain your living. So if you already have a business or a service, just start with it already. Start building that client up. And if not, then find a job if you are able to sustain your living expenses, then start the business on the side. So that sort of grows on its own. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah. So she's basically reminded me of a quote that says, do what you can with what you have, where you are.
100%.
Just start it.
Just start.
Debbie?
No, I think what Claudia highlighted is very important, that there is no need for you to procrastinate. Just start. Because the important thing to do is to start. And when you start, then doors will start to open. The challenge that we have is we have got a people with a mindset to be fed by somebody. And I have seen, and I become so brutal and truthful when it comes to this. Most businesses that were funded in their initial stages, they didn't survive. And that's a fact. You go look for it, Google it, research it. You will see that most businesses that were funded by somebody without your own sweat and your own money, somehow they just fell along the way. And that's not good. And I believe that in starting with your own, funders will come later on. Right now, if I tell you, we've got a lot of people that comes to us and like, you guys, we now need to fund you. But we went to them in the beginning when it was an idea, when it was small, and they were not keen at all. But now they are flocking into us. So I'm saying they will come eventually, and then take that as a boost forward for the business. So the important thing is to start. Then the other thing that is also important is your mindset. Your mindset has to shift from a dependency syndrome to an independent mindset, whereby you will know that me alone, I'm going to make it. I'm not going to wait on somebody to come and plant a seed in this. The seed is mine. I have it. I have read a book called The Mentor Within Me. You are your own mentor. You are your own cheerleader and all that. And you have got the power to start. And the moment that you start, then things, they will start to happen. So I think it's important that you just start. The other thing I think that Claudia left was, you need to cut on things that are unnecessary. Have your budget. What is it that is important? Anything that is Even if it means data for WhatsApp, it's not important for the cause of your business, then remove it. It's not important. We spend so much money on data to go on Facebook, to go on WhatsApp, to go on Instagram, and we laugh. If only we could go there and look for ideas or look for customers, then that's okay. But most of the times you find that we waste data. So cut it off. If you are living in a 6-bedroom house and it's only you and your mom, it's not important. Downsize. It's useless to pay 10,000 of rent, yet you can pay 3,000 or whatever in order for you to pump 7,000 again in your business. So I think remove all those things that are not important on your budget and focus on the things that are important. And believe you me, one day those things that you remove now, you will be able to add them without a twinkling of an eye. So I think it's important to work around the things that you have. Last point is start small. Usually as entrepreneurs, we want to start big. We want to start by supplying Pick and Pay, by supplying Woolworths, by going into ShopRite Checkers. But you haven't even started with your neighbor or your friends.
Yes.
So start small. I started my business, I always tell people, with about 100 to 1,000 Rand, and that was it. But now we are talking of millions in the business. So I think it's important to have that drive to start with whatever you have, with a few people, a few friends, a few clients, then you grow. And by growing, you will have capital to seed into the business, and boom, 100%. The business will grow.
Definitely. I think to sum up a point that you both have brought forward is, if you can't put your 100 Rand into your business, why are you expecting somebody else to? So you need to demonstrate that if you don't trust your business with your 100 Rand, then how's an investor meant to trust your business? So
exactly.
It's important to transition, cut down your life, knowing where your goals are. And it also makes you a little bit more driven, because you don't want to lose your money. You don't want to lose your blood, sweat, and tears because you've put it in there. We've had great comments. Somebody said, thank you for highlighting WhatsApp, the power of using a free app. We're blessed to have so many apps that make life easier. But we tend to think we want something that's packaged, something that's corporate and expensive. So if we take from what Debbie has said, if you cut down on your unnecessary costs in your personal life and also in your business, scale up and look at what can be my costs as I start up, and why do I need to pay everybody else to do stuff if I can learn to do it in the beginning. So ladies, we are about to close. We actually have 4 minutes left. Any closing statements from you? I would really like to share where they can find your business and your products. So if you can include that in your closing statements.
All right.
I'll jump in.
Yeah.
Just one thing to highlight with the whole entrepreneurship journey, because it's a stressful thing. We need to keep in mind that failure is a part of it. Because if you don't fail, you don't learn. But so is getting back up. And that is the entrepreneurial journey in a nutshell. You're going to fail, you're going to learn, but you're going to get back up, and you're just going to keep going. That is it. So yeah, just don't be afraid to step back and recenter. Sometimes we think when the roadblock happens, my business is done, my idea is gone, we're finished. It's okay to step back and reevaluate. So just bear in mind, step back, reevaluate, recenter, and then you just keep going again. That would definitely be my final.
And at all stages of the business.
All stages, each and every stage, 100%. So yeah, that's me. And where to find me?
Where to find you? Yes.
Poppy said, I have a Facebook page and I'm on Instagram as well. So if you can jump on any of those platforms, you'll find us there. You can either email or direct message me for any more information, but that's exactly where we are. I am on LinkedIn, but that's under personal profile. So on LinkedIn, it would be Claudia Campher, and for online, it would be Poppy said.
Awesome. I'll also put it in the comments on after the call. Debs?
No, I think in closing, like what Claudia was saying, we are so fearful of failure, and we don't understand the goodness that comes with failing. For me, I have failed so many times. I have failed in so many businesses, but it's the lessons that I come out with that I'm not defeated. So I take every failure as a lesson and a refocus and relooking at myself and asking myself important questions like, what went wrong? Do I really need a mentor or a coach in order for me to overcome this challenge that I have? So it's also important to ask questions. You don't know everything. I'm not fearful to ask. If I need anything from anyone, it's better to ask than not to. What if the answer was going to be yes?
Yeah.
Anyway, there was going to be something that was going to come out. So ask. Then the other thing that I've learned is resilience, the power to bounce back after you have failed is very, very important. And everyone has got the ability to bounce back. Even after COVID, even during COVID, you have got the ability. It's an ability that was given to everybody. So it's not for some people. You can always bounce back and just do things in a new way, better and improved. So I believe in the power of resilience. And for my contacts, we have got a Facebook page, Eat It All Natural. You can follow me as well on Facebook, Rejoice Deborah Matake. And we have got our Instagram page, Eat It All Natural, and my page as well, Debbie Matake. And LinkedIn, you'll get us there. I think Ilona, you'll put more details on.
I will add the details
on the comments exactly. Then you can always communicate. Don't be alone. Don't feel alone. Entrepreneurship can be a lonely world, and and there's no question that is silly. I don't believe in that. Every question is important. So
definitely.
Let us know. Then we can see how we can help each other. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. We just want to also thank and acknowledge everybody that stayed with us and watched the entire hour. We also want to thank everybody that's supporting entrepreneurs at this time. We have BizPreneur has partnered with TUT at this time. We have many other business development supplying services providers such as Vitola, who've always looked out for entrepreneurs. So we are all in this together, and we just want to come out of this crisis stronger, more knowledgeable, and we bounce back and we more resilient.
True.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.